Hello and welcome to week 4 of AC 1110 Accounting Fundamentals. Contact information down here with the name, the email address, and the phone number, as well as office hours on Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Office hours are not mandatory, they are office hours, but it is a good place to join in and ask questions at that time. Phone number is a different number. It's a call-in number, which is a conference call number, which will allow us to have multiple people on a same call. The URL will allow us to share my screen and or others' screens, and that really is helpful for us to demonstrate certain problems and answer questions in that format. So again, not mandatory. It's a question answer type of format here, so if you have any questions, then that would be a good way to go. I do suggest taking advantage of this type of format either here on Wednesday with Amanda Edwards as well, or to set up some other time if you have questions, because really this screen share method is effective in terms of if there's internet access to go over problems and just review certain types of problems. And so take advantage of that resource. You do have an accounting tutor in Amanda Edwards and myself to go over these at different times as needed. On the left hand side we have the grade book over here, so remember that the grades are going to be updated from Connect, most of the work being in Connect, and some work in Moodlerooms, including of course the discussion forums, will be updated once a week. So your goal is to make sure that everything is up to date during the week, pick up any late work during the week, and then any late work up through week 2 as well as the work through week 3 should be in there by the end of Tuesday, if not the end of Monday. So by Wednesday then, you want to double check the gradebook in Moodlerooms, because this will be the ultimate gradebook that will be used to create the ultimate grades. So you want to make sure that these have been updated correctly once a week and at least, and then let me know if there are any issues with your end and see if it looks okay on your end. If there's anything that we have not picked up, then you want to go back and see if you can pick up late work on that. So if you have any zeros here in the week 3 areas and assignments or before, then you want to pick up that work and pick up late work. You could get less credit on the late work, but it's a good idea to pick that up. You really don't want to get behind in these classes if at all possible, of course, because of the accelerated method, and we're going through a lot of material in a fast way. So pick it up on time as much as possible, but if you get behind, then go in and pick up that late work. Remember that the quizzes generally do not have late work to be able to be picked up unless there's an unusual circumstance. Assignments will generally be open for late work. If you have an unusual circumstance on the quiz, you have to contact me, and I take that on a case-by-case basis to decide whether the quiz can be opened or not for late work in that case. So take a look at the gradebook and let me know how if there's any questions on that. Then we're going to go down to the new week, which will be week 4. And scrolling into week 4, we have first the discussion forum. Well, first we have the idea that we are going to go into chapter 4, which we touched on last time, closing entries, and then chapter 5. I want to reiterate that chapters 1 through 4 are really the entire accounting cycle. So this is a difficult class in that we're really going over an overview of the entire accounting cycle in chapters 1 through 4. And that's the entire process that we will be continuing on throughout the rest of financial accounting classes. What we're going to do later is start to concentrate on different types of businesses and issues in different types of businesses, and issues when we drill down on more complex accounts individually. So, for example, week 5, we're going to start dealing with merchandise. Everything else is going to be the same, but now we have merchandise. That adds to the complication in some ways, in that we have to deal with the merchandise. All the stuff we learned in chapters 1 through 4 is still applicable. Those are the same. Now we're going to add the new stuff of merchandise. So when you start thinking about the type of journal entries we have looked at so far, still applicable, rules still applicable, we're going to keep on going back to those rules and solidify them. Now we're going to move on to adding inventory, of course. Later on, we'll start talking about cash individually. We'll start talking about accounts receivable individually. We'll start talking about fixed assets individually. Again, concepts that we've learned chapters 1 through 4, same. That's why you want to keep on going through these videos and refresh on those same videos on chapters 1 through 4 and see if you have a better understanding of them. And as we go, not just through this class, but through future classes as well. If we scroll down here, then we got the discussion forums. So remember, 21% of the grade are the discussion forums. Remember, your strategy that I recommend, the strategy being, is that you want to pick up a full credit on the discussion forums as much as possible. You want to pick up as close to full credit as possible on the assignments and homework. Those are the areas where we have the most control over. Then if we don't do as well on the quizzes, which we have less control over, then we should have a pretty substantial cushion if we can pick up everything else. Discussion forums worth 21% of the grade. That's 2 whole grade points in terms of letter grades. Therefore, pick those up as much as possible. How do you do so? You need 4 posts minimum in order to pick up those points. Most students need more than 4 posts. Why? Because 4 posts need to be really good posts. And again, if you want to make sure to pick them up, then I would post more than 4 posts. Remember that you can't really lose credit on a post. You could get no credit on a post if it doesn't add to the conversation, but you can't really get negative points on the posts. The discussion forums are different in that the points accumulate upward, so they only go one way, they go up until the full credit is achieved, and then you get full credit. So remember that as we go. So what makes a good post? It has to add content to the discussion. So you do want to make sure that you're adding content to the discussion. If we say something like, I liked someone else's post, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But make sure that you add something to that as you go too. Why do you like it? What's some questions about it? What are some good things or bad things? Something new to the post that adds to the content of the conversation is what we're generally looking for on the discussion posts. The assignments will be this one will be in Connect. This one will be in Moodlerooms. So remember, this one is the one you have to turn in here. This one will be the long assignment in Connect. So if you were to go into Connect and we are in week 4, then this assignment's the longer assignment. Remember that you do have this worksheet. If you open up this worksheet, it'll open up this. And I know these assignments are pretty long and intimidating, but just note that if we have the video tab and the example tab, this example tab and the video will go over a lot of the entries. So although the numbers will change, you'll get a lot of information by just picking up the format from the Excel tabs and the videos. So if you look at those, even if you don't get full credit, again, if you don't do it perfectly, you run out of time, you should be able to pick up a lot of points on these. This is really where you see the big picture. The long problems are important because it's really where you see not only the journal entry by itself, but where you see it in relation to the trial balance, in relation to the financial statements, and try to see how these things get put together. So make sure to pick up the formatting of that by looking at this Excel sheet while attempting this problem, and then work through that problem and pick up as many points as possible. Also note that there is a check your work figure at the bottom. So if I went into week 3 just as an example and we go into this problem, so just remember this check your work feature down here. So if I entered something in here, if I hit check my work, it won't tell me if something has not been entered, whether it's wrong or not. Obviously I have a lot of blank spaces, but the information that I put in there, it'll tell me if it's wrong or not. So you really want to use that and go back and forth, because these longer problems, you want to see what has been input and check your work as you go and start working through these big problems. Again, a lot of the information you can get just from the format of the Excel worksheets, and so a lot of the journal entries here, you can get at least what's going to be debited and credited from the Excel worksheets. So keep that in mind as we go. Going back to the cookie trail up top, Moodlerooms assignment. Remember that this one needs to be turned into Moodlerooms. So if you click in here and you open this up, it'll be an Excel sheet that then there'll be a submit button once the week starts that you'll need to submit here in Moodlerooms. If you have submitted this stuff to somewhere other than Moodlerooms in the past weeks, then go ahead and come back here and enter that file here in Moodlerooms, and I'll give you full credit on those. Homeworks are the Learnsmarts, so do the Learnsmarts. Those will walk you kind of through the book. Once again, the long problem up here is really geared towards giving the big picture, where you have a lot of information and you see how everything's put together. The small problems, which are the quizzes and the discussion and the Learnsmarts, are a lot of times just as difficult, because even though they're not long, they have to limit the information. So remember that's why small questions can be kind of tricky in that way. So multiple choice questions can be tricky in that they limit information, and the way to get good at either type of format is to just practice them. So how do you practice for the quiz? I'd really practice from the quiz by doing the Learnsmarts, because that's the format in which they'll try to remove information. And while you do that, while you learn those, I would have something open like these longer problems. Why? Because you want to see the journal entries. You want to see the trial balance. The trial balance and the journal entry are the information that are often missing when we start looking at the quizzes. They'll ask you to post something without a journal entry, without even numbers sometimes. And so that can be a little difficult to visualize, and it's a lot easier even if we're looking at a different problem, but we're looking at a trial balance and we're looking at similar journal entries, and we have that information to help us structure what a journal entry will look like. Remember that the quiz will be due on Sunday, so make sure to take the quiz by Sunday unless there's an unusual circumstance in which you can let me know, and I'll take that on a case-by-case basis to see if we can give an extension case by case. Otherwise, make sure to get the quiz done. Even if you're not ready for it, don't get a 0 on the quiz. Take the quiz, and then to make up the late work if you run into a time constraint on the assignments and the homework. So that's going to be it for week 4. So have a great week 4.